Okay, so good afternoon, folks. I'm April Price with 3C REN, or the Tri-County Regional Energy Network, and really excited to talk about our gas water heater loaner program. This is an opportunity that we've been thinking about a while, of how we can support people in actually getting a heat pump when their water heater just fails. And I wish I could say that we came up with the idea ourselves, but we're actually modeling this opportunity after a company, Barnett Plumbing. They're up in Livermore, and they received funding through the Tech Quick Start grant to do exactly what we're doing here. And I won't steal the thunder from my colleague Tyler, who will share the details, but thank you, Barnett, if you happen to listen to this recording, for your hard work, which has really paved the way for quite a few heat pump water heaters. Next slide, please. Quick reminder who 3C REN is. We are a collaboration between 3 neighboring counties, and we work together to improve opportunities for energy efficiency, both for building professionals like yourselves and for households who you'll be serving. And all of our programming is funded by ratepayer dollars so that we can bring those economic benefits back to our region. Next slide, please. We have 3 programs, and I work on behalf of the Home Energy Savings Program that Tyler will describe shortly. But certainly, as contractors, working professionals in the region, I encourage you to take advantage of our other training and code support programs as well. So without further ado, our single family program is implemented by a company called Recurve. And I think everyone on this call has already met Recurve, but Tyler is here as our program manager from Recurve to walk us through this specific opportunity and the basics of our single family program.
All right. Thank you, April. And again, good noon to everybody who is joining us or perhaps watching the recording here. The goal of this conversation today, this webinar today, is to briefly review the single family home energy savings program very briefly, simply because we also want to introduce the new gas water heater loaner incentive program that we recently launched, and we want to introduce a single family program and briefly review that program and the way that it works, because in order to submit a project through the gas water heater loaner program, you have to be a registered provider of the single family program, and the project itself has to go through the single family program as well. So we're going to review the single family program, and then we're going to dive into sort of the why behind why we put this new gas water heater loaner incentive offering out there, review the kind of the process in terms of getting a project submitted into the gas water heater loaner program, and then we'd love to open it up to questions and just hear any kind of general feedback about the program, all with the goal of continuing to try to adapt and adjust and deliver the best programs that we possibly can. So the single family home energy savings program, to start, provides incentives directly to contractors or aggregators, really synonymous from our viewpoint, but to not to homeowners is the big thing. So to contractors or aggregators for delivering energy savings or electrification to residents of the Tri-County. There are multipliers in place that increase the incentive amounts if the customers fall within a hard to reach designation. The incentives themselves through the single family program are broken into 2 parts. There is a guaranteed upfront incentive, and that necessarily gets passed along to the end use customer. And then there is a performance-based incentive that we encourage contractors to keep. You certainly can pass that incentive along as well, but you do not have to. And we encourage contractors to hold on to that. probably as briefly as I could discuss the way that the single family program works, just in the very highest level possible. As a participating contractor or aggregator, you scope out a project for a customer. So you look at the conditions on site and make recommendations about what you think you might want to install for that customer to provide great service, to help them save energy, to electrify, whatever it is. You submit details about your proposed project into the program for pre-approval. So you'll submit information into the program, like utility bills, so that we can get a sense of the historical usage, and your scope of work, along with some energy savings calculations, so that we can predict the amount of energy that a particular project is going to save. After you do that and the project is approved, you will get a customized upfront incentive amount, which is based on your predicted energy savings for your particular project. So you will have a pre-approved application that will actually have what that upfront incentive for the customer is going to be. It could be on the very low end, it could be, let's just say $250 for a small project, maybe that doesn't save much energy. And then on the high end, incentives, upfront incentives get up into the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 plus range. It really depends on the project itself, really depends on the level of energy savings, depends on the measures that you install, and then those numbers only increase for hard to reach designated customers. So you sell your project, you sell your service, you install your project for your customer, and you enroll that project into the program. And once you do that, that upfront incentive takes about 4 to 8 weeks to process to get back in your hands. That upfront incentive has to get passed along to the customer. So there's 2 ways you can do that. Once you know the upfront incentive amount because of your pre-approval, you can discount it straight away on your invoice. So for example, if your project costs $10,000 and your upfront incentive is $2,000, you can charge your customer $8,000, and then you can wait 4 to 8 weeks to get reimbursed that pre-approved incentive amount. Otherwise, you can write in on the invoice that you're guaranteeing to pass that specific amount on to your customer after you receive it. So either way, that upfront incentive has to get passed back to the customer, and you'll receive that about 4 to 8 weeks. It'll come to you always, and you'll receive it about 4 to 8 weeks after the project is completed and finally enrolled. And then lastly, there are performance-based incentives that are based on the energy savings that are measured using the utility meters on the building. On the home. So we'll monitor the energy savings that a particular project generates for an entire year after the project is installed. And if it meets the predicted energy savings, you'll essentially get a performance-based incentive that we like to think of as a bonus to contractors who do good energy savings work. And that if your actual energy savings equal your predicted savings, you'll get the same amount essentially that your customer got. So if your upfront incentive was $2,000 and we measure that your project saved exactly what you thought it would, you'll get at the end of that year $2,000 additional dollars directly back to your business, sort of as a bonus for doing good quality work that actually saves the energy that you predicted. So that in the briefest of terms is how the single family program works. If you have not participated in the program, and you want some more detail on specifically how to go about the steps of getting a project enrolled, and more detail on any of these steps, happy to talk about that with anybody who's either on this call or watching this recording, and to help guide you through that process. We have some great resources to help you. But important just to recap that, because in order to, again, submit for the gas water heater loaner incentive, the project necessarily has to go through the single family program. And with that, I am going to move on to what we really are here to talk about, which is the new gas water heater loaner program. This program offered by 3C REN offers contractors $1,000 labor offset incentive for using a loaner water heater while work to install a heat pump water heater is completed. That is the basic overview of how this program is going to work. A little bit more detail on why that is something that we want to offer. Like April said, there was the Tech Quick Start grant where this idea was already put into practice and worked quite well. And really the situation that arises, the problem that arises that stops a heat pump water heater from getting installed when a natural gas water heater fails a homeowner needs hot water right away. When they call up a plumber to get a hot water heater fixed, when their gas water heater is broken, they need hot water ASAP, and they do not have any time to waste. And with heat pump water heaters, obviously there's additional permitting, there's additional electrical work. Maybe you have to, redo an entire electric service panel because they don't have enough amperage in their panel. In order for the circuit for a heat pump water heater to be installed. Maybe you just have to run a line from the panel to where the heat pump water heater will be. But in any case, there are circumstances when that gas water heater fails and they're interested in a heat pump water heater. But there's just too much work that needs to be done, and that represents too much time for them without hot water, which can be a big barrier. And 3C Ren really wants to eliminate barriers that hinder contractors and homeowners from electrifying home energy usage. Really simply stated, we want heat pump water heaters to get installed. And so we're trying to break down those barriers. The solution to that problem would be contractors can install a loaner natural gas water heater while they work to get a heat pump water heater installed at the home. This loaner water heater would be the property of the contractor, the installer. They would have it, presumably at their shop. They would use it as a loaner in one circumstance. When it's done, they'd take it back to their shop, and they could use that as the same loaner for the next project. So it'd be property of the shop. They're using it not to provide to the customer for the customer to have long-term, but they use this loaner gas water heater to provide hot water for the homeowner while they do the additional permitting work, the additional electrical work, whatever it may be, to get that heat pump water heater installed. So this enables homeowners to have hot water right away, ultimately enables a homeowner who might not have been able to afford multiple days without a hot water heater to electrify and inevitably get that heat pump water heater when it's all said and done without having to go multiple days without having hot water. So that's really kind of the reason why we want to introduce this new offering. When that circumstance arises, we want contractors to have the opportunity, the ability to go ahead and get that heat pump water heater installed without that becoming a barrier that's going to stop it from happening. And lastly, of course, it is an incentive program. So, we want to pay you to do this. We want to incentivize you to do this because, again, we want to break down those barriers. We want heat pump water heaters to get installed. And so the idea behind this incentive is that it's a $1,000 incentive per project to use the gas loaner water heater. And that's really designed to offset the additional labor costs associated with installing a loaner on one trip, going back, uninstalling the loaner, and then installing the heat pump water heater. It's really to offset the additional labor costs of 2 installs as opposed to 1. So it's $1,000 per project that 3C Ren is offering to help offset that cost and hopefully to stimulate the market a little bit to be able to get more heat pump water heaters installed. So that's what it is and why it exists and now how it works. So in order, like I mentioned previously, in order to take advantage of this program, you must submit your project through the 3C Ren Single Family Home Energy Savings Program. And of course, in order to do that, you have to be a registered provider of the Single Family Home Energy Savings Program. And to qualify for the project to qualify, you must replace a gas water heater, a failed gas water heater, with a loaner gas water heater. And then the final install must be of a heat pump water heater. Those are sort of the prerequisites in order to qualify for this particular incentive offering. And so process-wise, what this will look like when you are submitting a qualifying project, so a project that meets the aforementioned qualifications, when you're submitting it for pre-approval, there is an option in the pre-approval submission form that you want to take advantage of this offering, and you simply, as you can see there on that image with the arrow, you simply select yes on that bubble, and that's all you have to do when you're submitting your project for pre-approval. When you receive your pre-approved application back, you will receive, along with the standard pre-approved application, if you select yes, you'll also receive a second application specific to the water heater loaner program. You can see a little snippet of that application. It's very simple. It's a single page. It just sort of lays out the details, the incentive amount, and then there's some spots for signatures on there that need to be completed by the contractor and the customer. Very, very, very simple. to get this taken care of. And then, once the project is pre-approved, you sell your project to the homeowner, you have all the documentation, the application for both the single family program as well as the loaner application as well. You go ahead, you install your gas loaner water heater. In fact, you could have done that, if needing hot water was imminent, you actually could have installed the gas loaner prior to submitting the project for pre-approval. If you were confident that it qualified, that's certainly okay. If the customer needs hot water right away. But you install your gas loaner water heater. I can't reiterate enough the importance of making sure that you take a photo of the original gas water heater and then the loaner gas water heater so that we can have some photographic proof that indeed there were, the original gas water heater and the loaner water heater. That's very important. And that will be required when you submit the project is a photo of the original, the loaner, and then the final. You then, when the gas loaner water heater is installed, you go ahead and you complete the work necessary to get the heat pump water heater installed, whether that's permitting, whether it's electric panel upgrade, things that we've already mentioned. When it's ready to go, then when it's ready for the heat pump water heater install, you remove the loaner. Again, you can keep that back at your shop, use it for the next job. That can be sort of a rotating item in your stock that you use on multiple jobs. So you remove the loaner water heater and you install the heat pump water heater. At that point, it's really very much just like submitting a standard project into the single family program. You complete the standard paperwork, so that includes the application, the invoice with its usual requirements, the standard photo requirements. In addition to that, you complete the water heater loaner application. You submit the project as usual into the single family home energy savings program via the portal. Really, the only additional things you're going to need are the additional photo of the original gas water heater and the photo of the loaner water heater, and then the application for the gas loaner water heater program. You'll also have a photo of the new heat pump water heater, and then you'll submit that into the program. And when you receive your upfront payments from the single family program, you'll also receive your $1,000 water heater loaner incentive. So that's that 4 to 8 week time frame after enrollment. Here's a really quick snippet of the final enrollment form from the program portal. As you can see, there's just an option right there where you can select again that this project is utilizing the gas water heater loaner option. You select yes. And that gives you 2 spots where you can upload files. So you can upload your application and then you can upload your photos and you submit. And that is all that there is to it. It's really designed to be very simple. I think the most important thing to do if you are going to take advantage of this program is make sure that you get photos. That's really key. It's, other things that are important to remember. It's your gas water heater that would be the loaner. And the incentive really is designed to offset the additional labor of 2 separate installs. So that is really the entirety of the content of that we wanted to deliver here today. It's really, from our perspective, a very simple problem, hopefully breaking down barriers to a situation that maybe, you have come across, have heard about, and now hopefully this gives you an outlet to overcome that and get that heat pump water heater installed, sell additional services, of course, which is great. Electrify home energy use, which is what we really want to see, get better incentives for a project that naturally is probably going to yield better incentives than just a gas water heater to a gas water heater swap out. So that's all I have. April, did you have anything else that you want to mention about the program before we dive into any potential questions or comments?
No, let's open up to our big crowd and chat about this if there's any questions or comments or concerns. Frank gave a thumbs up.
Cool.
Is it open and have you seen it used yet?
It is open and we have not had any projects submitted. I think we formally made the announcement that the program was active in mid-July, I want to say. So it's only been a couple weeks that it's been available, but we have not seen any projects come through yet.
Okay. Have you had any feedback from contractors about being interested in using it?
I think a little bit. Yep. I think there's definitely some interest in taking advantage of it. There was one contractor that actually ran into this scenario about a month before the offering was live, and the homeowner just needed hot water, and so they just did a gas to a gas swap out. So we know that the situation's out there. We know from that Tech Quick Start grant that it's a definitely a barrier that, you know, an incentive can help to overcome. I think we haven't really seen what the level of demand for the program is quite yet, simply because it's so new.
And we also chatted with some plumbers before we launched the program, so we kind of said, would you do this if we brought it? And they haven't done it yet, but they said that they were interested, so
Right.
hope that's the case. And yeah, Tyler, one thing that came up for me, you mentioned, you know, you're on the job, you're helping a customer with a failed water heater, and you decide to put in the loaner, but you don't have pre-approval. I guess I just wanted to address, you know, the budget for this program. You know, we currently have funding to serve 100 projects, but we have more funding that we could allocate to this program. So just want to, you know, raise that issue, or the opportunity that even if you don't get pre-approval right away, we have budget to serve you, and I hope that makes you feel better about acting quickly to get a loaner water heater installed, rather than, you know, waiting for the pre-approval process.
Right. Yep. That's a great point. And on that same note, you know, I try to make myself available to the contractor community. So if you're in a situation like that where, you know, somebody's out of hot water and you're like, this would be a great circumstance, you know, to use the loaner water heater and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but you're not sure about, does it qualify or what's the budget? I mean, you could always give me a call and we could kind of talk through the scenario as well. So that's definitely an option.
Yeah, Tyler answers his cell phone and he answers texts. So, you know, maybe you've worked with other programs that aren't quite as responsive, but, you know, try it out. Call Tyler and see if he picks up the phone. What do you think, Frank? You gave a thumbs up. Have you tried things like this in the past, or do you think, if you don't want to answer, that's fine too, but.
No, it's fine. I know that we've had a situation or two where it's been a failed water heater and we don't keep the heat pump water heaters in stock and they're not readily or easily available. Even if it's a couple of days, that's too long. You know, if we can't go and pull it off the shelf. So then we're just like, well, we really can't help upgrading you to a heat pump water heater. So it eliminates that as an option. This just removes that barrier. How often we'll start paying attention to it more, obviously, because now there's a solution. So that's been our issue with heat pump water heater failing and us not being able to replace it immediately with a heat pump water heater because of the product availability.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, we can call this a little early, but again, Tyler, I think you have another slide with your contact information.
There it is.
There's your email, and I think everyone on this call already has your cell phone number.
Yep, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, but we will go ahead and send this recording and the slides out to everyone that registered for this meeting. And thank you everyone for attending, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.